This is the last video in the data unit, and in this last video we want to spend some time looking at box and whisker plots and how to interpret those. And so in your packet you'll see a page that looks just like this that takes a box and whisker plot and shows you what all of the values represent. You can see on this box and whisker plot that the highest value, the endpoint on this side, shows you the maximum value, and the lowest value in the set of data is the minimum. The middle number in the set of the data is the median. The upper quartile would be this value on this corner of the box, and that would be Q3. The line on the other end of the box shows you the lower quartile, which is Q1, and as we said, the number in the middle is the median. So you're going to need to make sure you understand how to find all these numbers. You will not have to create any of these box and whisker plots. However, you will have to interpret them and provide some information using those numbers. So let's look at the first example. They have asked us in this problem to compare column A to column B, and column A represents the inner quartile range for data set A, and B represents the inner quartile range for data set B. So again, remember we want to do Q3 minus Q1. Here's Q3, here's Q1. So for A, the inner quartile range, if we do Q3 minus Q number 1, that would be the 48.5, and all you're going to do is look at the box and go all the way down until you get that number. So 48.5 minus 46, which is Q1, and that gives me an inner quartile range of 2.5. So the answer for this side is 2.5, and the inner quartile range of B, which again is Q3 minus Q1, I'm going to get that off of my chart again, would be 46.5 minus 42, which is 4.5. And then when I look at my answer choices, I'm going to select A if the quantity in column A is greater. Well, 2.5 is smaller than 4.5, so A is not the answer. I'm going to select B if the quantity in column B is greater. Well, 4.5 is bigger than 2.5, so the correct answer is B. Looking at the next example, if you turn the page in your packet, they're going to ask us some questions that we're going to use the box and whisker plots to compare. We have two box and whisker plots, and we're going to compare this information. The first thing they ask us to identify is the median for each box and whisker plot. So the median for box and whisker plot A is 80, because again, this is the median, and I go down and I see that it's 80. And the median for plot B is 95. So B has a higher median. The inner quartile range, remember again, the inner quartile range is Q3 minus Q1. So for each of the box and whisker plots, I'm going to identify Q3 minus Q1. I'll use my calculator to do that. And for A, the inner quartile range would be 25, because that would be 100, or take away 75, which gives me 25. And for plot B, it would be 20, which is 100, take away 80, which gives me 20. Q1 for plot A is 75, and Q1 for plot B is 80. And again, the way I'm getting those numbers, Q1 is the lower quartile, so for A it's 75, and for B it's 80. That's how I'm getting those numbers. For Q3, for A is 100, and for B is also 100. The way I'm getting that number, quartile 3 is the upper quartile, and I'm just reading it from the number line. Okay, number 5 says all of the scores are between what two numbers? Well, for A, the lowest number is 60, and the highest number is 105, so all of the scores are between 60 and 105. For B, the lowest number on the graph is 65, and the highest number is 115, and getting those from the graph. Question number 6, which has more variation of the interquartile range? Well, the interquartile range for A, as we already know from above, is 25, and the interquartile range for B is 20. So A has more variation. There's a bigger distance between the two numbers. Number 7, which has more variation of the range? Well, to find the range, I'm going to subtract the highest value minus the lowest value. So I would have 105 take away 60, which would give me 45 as my range for A. I'm going to do the same thing for B with my calculator. I'm going to take 115 and subtract 65. And the range for B is 60. So which has more variation? B has more variation. And then finally, number 8, circle the conclusion about this data point that is most valid. Well, the first thing says B always scored more points than A. Well, if we look at the box and whisker plot, we can see that B did not always have higher scores than A. Also, the word always is a very dangerous word. It's very seldom that something in the data is always true. B, 75% of B's scores were higher than A's median. All right, so we got to count backwards. So we're going to go to B, 75%, so that would be 3/4. So if I do 1, 2, 3, here is 75% of the data is greater than this value. So 75% of B's data is up here. Here's A's median. Well, yes, it does appear that 75% of the data is greater than A's median. So the correct answer is B. Also, you can't find the mean or the average from a box and whisker plot. And of course, we can see from the graph that A and B did not score equally well. And let's do one more of these. Same thing, we're comparing. We have quartile 3 up here, quartile 1, max, min. Same thing for B. We have the max here. The min is the lowest value. Quartile 3, quartile 1, and then of course the median. And you can see right away that in this box and whisker that the two graphs have the same median. So A has a median of 70 and B also has a median of 70. The interquartile range for A would be quartile 3 take away quartile 1, which is 15. And for B, the interquartile range is 85 take away 60, which is 25. And you need to take the time to make sure that you understand where the numbers are coming from and that you're getting the same answers that I'm getting. For A, quartile 1 is 65, and for B, quartile 1 is 60. For A, quartile 3 is 80, and for quartile B, quartile 3 is 85. Number 5, all of the scores are between what numbers? Well, A, the lowest score is 50 and the highest score is 100, so all of the numbers are between 50 and 100. For B, the lowest score is 40 and the highest score is 100, so all of the scores are between 40 and 100. Number 6, which has more variation of the inner quartile? Well, if you look at the inner quartile, for A we have 15. For B, the inner quartile range is 25, so B has a greater range because it's a larger value. Number 7, which has more variation in the range? Well, if we go back up to, we haven't calculated the range, but if we calculate the range for A, the range for A is 50 because 100 minus 50 is 50, and the range for B is 60. So B has a greater variation in the range. And then finally, circle the conclusion about this data that is most valid. Well, again, if we look at the box and whisker plot, the scores for B are not always higher than A, so we can eliminate that answer. Again, the word always is a dangerous word. B, 75% of B's scores were higher than A's. So if we do the same thing that we did before and we count back 1, 2, 3, here's where 75% of B's data occurs, and that is not greater than A's median, so we can get rid of that one. C, B's mean score. Well, again, we already talked about we can't calculate the mean, so that's not a reasonable answer. And we can look at the data and see that since both A and B had the same median, we can say that both teams scored equally well this season. So I hope these videos help you and that you continue studying for the HSA.